I love to be entertained, but I have no patience. So I give every new show I watch only one episode to hook me. Welcome to Debut Review. I'm not having the best day, so I'm looking forward to watching a cartoon. Today, I'll be watching the first episode of She-Ra, Princesses of Power. I paused there because I realized that when I did the debut review for the original She-Ra series, I watched the first 5 episodes. Not because it was just that good, but because it was a 5-parter. So if the opening to She-Ra the New is multiple parts, I suppose it's only fair that I watch part 2 and 3 all the way to part N. I have high hopes for this show. What I've seen looks pretty cool. I like the aesthetic, I like the design, I like that they appear to be doing their own thing without completely abandoning what, the iconography that made the show so memorable in the first place. Although I do think original She-Ra's headpiece is much cooler than the skimpy tiara that the new She-Ra has. But other than that, it looks pretty cool. Hopefully, half hour, 2.5 hours, however many parts this opening is, will be enough to get me out of my funk of a mood. But tonight is really the only night for a while I would have the opportunity to record this. So it's kind of now or much later. So we're going to do it now. Hey, what's the show description say? It says, Soldier Adora finds a magic sword and her identity as legendary hero She-Ra. Would that mean that She-Ra is an existing persona? A mantle that she is taking up? Or is it a spoiler? Well, now I know that she's going to be a hero and become a legendary one at that. No reason to watch the show anymore. Bah humbug. Continuing on. She joins the rebellion, but her best friend stays with the evil horde. I have to wonder, is the evil horde its proper name? Like, is that on the business card? Force Captain Adora, Evil Horde? Or is it just the Horde? And everyone calls them the Evil Horde. And everyone in the Horde is like, stop calling us that! It's just the Horde! One word! Not the Evil Horde! Just the Horde! Which totally doesn't sound like a bad thing. You know, one of the good hordes. Like a horde of sweets that I have squirreled away in my pantry. And you can't have any. They're mine. So looking at the preview image that Netflix has decided to share, and I noticed that Netflix sometimes doesn't use movie posters. They use what appear to be just a randomly cropped screenshot from somewhere in the show. We have the horse, Swiftwind, I think its name is. You know, unicorn, rainbow wings. Bo, I think there's someone in front. I think that's Glimmer in front and She-Ra behind. So we're tripling it up on poor Swiftwind. Gonna break that nag's back. Poor Swiftwind. Oh my god, get off me! Get off! That's one too many. I can maybe do 2, but not 3. Get off! I hope this show puts me in a better mood. Because I have 2 moods. One is angry. And the other is fine. Just fine. And fine is better than angry. I think we can all agree on that point. Well, She-Ra time. That was delightful. I quite enjoyed it. Yes. Lovely little show. I will probably watch the rest of it. The first 2 episodes were kind of funny. It's called the first episode is called The Sword, Part 1. But when I read The Sword Part 1. Like, the part of the sword part. I'm like, what? Oh, The Sword Part 1. Because there's no colon, it's just The Sword Part 1. I'm like, what? So, and there's 2 parts to the sword. The hilt and the blade. What about the pommel and the crossguard? Not really much negative to say about this. It doesn't have the highest budget. Some of the line work is a little sketchy in places. Some of the animation is a little... We don't have the time to hand draw this, so let's kind of just do it in the computer. Nothing huge. It works fine. I also prefer the original theme song. That's probably nostalgia speaking, but you know, not even a remix of that, unfortunately. The theme they use is fine, but I kind of miss the original. Where this where this show succeeds, and definitely trumps the original, is in almost every conceivable regard. I mean, the original show is bad as a show. It's iconic, but I think it was more the, as I mentioned before I watched it, it's really the iconography of the show that sticks around. It's not really the characters so much. The designs, yes. The archetypes, yes. But not the characters. What kind of person was She-Ra and Bo and Madame Razz. Hang on. Pardon me. Alright. Where was I? What this show does very well is it creates characters. You can actually describe the character of Catra and Adora and Glimmer and Bo, and though we're only 2 episodes in, that's really the only 4 characters we've got so far, but holy crap, they actually made Bo cool and funny. Do you remember Bo from the original? That's like the dorkiest dude ever! But this Bo's pretty darn cool and funny. He's got some really great lines. They find a horse who I am assuming will become Swiftwind. I hope I have that name right. I'll be really embarrassed if I'm messing up some of my She-Ra knowledge. Man, what did get in my throat? Maybe too much angry ranting in the drive home. Blew out my voice. What was I talking about? Oh, Bo, yes. There's a great, several great moments from this guy. They come across a horse, and very end of episode 2, they walk. You know, Adora says, "I'm going to leave the evil horde and join the resistance," and they walk off towards Bright Moon, hand in hand, towards the sunset. And the horse that they just found in this one village trots along with them, and Bo says, "Whose horse is this?" Not as funny when I communicate it to you, but it worked in the context of the show, and it gave me I grinned slightly. Ever so slightly. But that's good. Also, Bo's pretty accommodating to Adora, who grew up with the Horde and knows no other way. And he's patient, but also kind of flabbergasted that she didn't recognize she was with the bad guys. As he points out, he says, "They're called the Evil Horde." She says, "Who calls us that?" And he just looks at her. Everyone! Some good lines, some good laughs in the show. It's fun. I like it. I'll probably watch the rest of it. The next episode 3 is not The Sword Part 3, which is why I didn't watch it. It's called Raz, I think. I'm really curious to see how this show interprets Madame Raz, who was the Orko of the original She-Ra show. And I think even for small children, Orko and Madame Raz were embarrassing. I think, even a 6-year-old is like, "Oh, don't let anyone know I watched this show. This is embarrassing." If you're curious, there's the Evil Horde and there's the Rebellion. Adora was brought up. Adora and Catra, who's a literal cat girl now. In the original show, she was just a lady with a weird Scarlet Witch-like headpiece who could turn into a panther. Now she's a literal cat girl, but she has the same weird headpiece, which I quite like. So they're both growing up in the Horde, and the Horde, propagandists. They're like, princesses are evil monsters who are trying to kill you, so we're trying to make the world a better place by ridding it of the resistance, who are trying to let princesses run free to eat your babies. That kind of a thing. And so she, having known nothing other than the Horde, although you'd think the Horde needs a brand manager. So it's like you got to rebrand. You can't call yourself the Horde and expect people to think you're benevolent. So Adora becomes Force Captain, and Shadow Weaver, who has I kind of like the original design better. Who's just a red cloak with a hood and glowing yellow eyes from the darkness of the hood. This one is same red cloak but no hood. She's got a mask instead. Kind of like the original design better, but this one's fine. Sends Adora out to says, "You're going to attack this enemy stronghold." Well, she sneaks out, finds the sword of power, sword of wisdom, sword of courage. Which Triforce is this sword? I don't know. Runs into Glimmer and Bo. They have adventures. They end up in the town that was going to be attacked, and she finds out, oh, the Horde is evil, I must stand up. And she and Catra, Catra just wants her friend back and feels betrayed that Adora left her. Because Catra never cared for the Horde. It was just a home of convenience to her. All she really cared about was her best friend. And now she's lost that. So it'll be interesting to see how that relationship develops. Also, they're not doing a thing where Catra knows that Adora is She-Ra. That's no secret. Will she keep that information to herself? Will she tell Shadow Weaver and Hordak? So it seems like a secret identity is not going to be a thing with this show. It seems like they might do something with Adora has difficulty turning on the She-Ra persona at will. So we'll see how that goes. Overall, I think this is an excellent reboot, if you will, of the original series. I think why it's successful is it does its own thing while respecting and having a lot of love for the original. It's very clear that or maybe I'm projecting, but it seems clear to me that the creative team doesn't just respect, but actively adores the source material. And that comes across. All the iconography that you could want is still there, just done in a different way. They keep it's still called the Fright Zone, it's still called the Horde. They didn't really, so far as I've seen, they haven't taken anything and go, oh man, that's just too stupid, we have to change that. They kept all the stuff. Although I'm wondering if Castaspella is going to be in here and if she's going to have the same name. That's really what I'm looking forward to, is Castaspella, because that's that's the most wonderful name ever. Yeah, I like it. I recommend it. So yeah, She-Ra, Princesses of Power. I'm still mad, but that's because I'm an angry dork who's always angry. Oh well. But at least I've got 10 some odd more episodes of a cartoon to watch later, because I only have like 2 weeks left to watch as many films in my Filmstruck queue as I can, because Warner Brothers is short-sighted and uncaring and stupid and is shuttering that project. For those of you who don't know, Filmstruck is essentially Netflix for classic films. Citizen Kane, Rashomon, stuff like that. I bought my sister and myself for her birthday. Yes, I buy myself things for her birthday. A subscription to Filmstruck. Her birthday's October 1st. A couple weeks later, Warner's announced, we're canning Filmstruck at the end of November, so I've only got 2 weeks left to watch as much stuff as I can, so that's kind of... I almost didn't shoot this video tonight because I'm like, I should watch as much Filmstruck as I can while I have the chance, so maybe I'll get back to that. But anyway, if you have Netflix and have a chance to check this out, it's a pretty charming little show. It's colorful, it's fun, it's funny. All the iconography you remember from the original She-Ra seems to be there and intact, if interpreted in a different way. And what's working for me the most is you actually have characters in this show instead of just archetypes. And I think that's really what is going to serve to endear this show to a generation of new fans, in addition to the generation of old fans. I wish I wasn't so angry all the time.